up front. Firstly, a very special welcome to our association patron, John Patterson, and of course John will be speaking to us later on tonight. Secondly, may I welcome some particular guests. David Fale from the Napier branch, the Parallel branch of the Air Force Association. John Laurent, over there, from the Hastings branch of the Air Force Association. John Mason, I saw the manager of the air traffic control at the Hawke's Bay Airport. Tony Gawthorne was from Vintage Aviation. And right over in the corner, Jim Tate, a former instructor at the Aero Club and currently is a patron out there. And thirdly, of course, welcome to the members of the association and their partners and guests. I'd like to make a special thanks to John Scullen and Michael Mullins at the back there for all the efforts they've made in sort of rounding everybody up and getting them here tonight. Also, perhaps a special mention for Max Collett, who couldn't be here tonight, but has been very helpful behind the scenes and giving us assistance to get everything going. Tonight, there's only really sort of two items of business, if I can put it that way. One is fellowship, have a good time, and the other item is the address by our patron, John Patterson. So turning back to fellowship, I think in order for fellowship to be really effective, it helps if everybody knows who everyone else is. Now, one option is I could try and stand up and introduce everybody, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to suggest that every member here in turn, I'll ask you shortly to stand up and briefly introduce yourself and just say a couple of words about what your aviation interest or background is. You don't want a biography, but just a few words. John Patterson is excused from that, of course, because later on there'll be a more formal introduction. So I'll kick it off by saying that my name is Graham Dooley. My aviation interest or background has been a little bit in the Air Force, mostly in club flying, and with a continuing strong interest in sort of warbird type aircraft. And which way will we go? We'll go this way to Barry.
My name is Barry Crabb, ex-Air Force, and a number of other organisations, and this is my wife, Dawn. Where are you going, Bill?
Bill Clevenson, very small beer in this company. I've got a very limited Aero Club experience and I'm quite hard.
I'm Tuck, Air Force experience and mainly club flying.
Len Searle, back in Napier Aero Club days of about 45 or 50 years of age. The white hair shows that. And this is my wife Bo. And in recent years, along with Jim Tate and others, we're trying to rejuvenate the Napier Aero Club. And we appreciate to see all of these faces over there. And we're quite happy to entertain you all and welcome you back into the clubhouse again.
Hi, Jim Tate. I'd like to endorse Len's few words about coming to see us at the Aero Club. I'm ex-instructor, ex-airline, and now sitting on the fringes of aviation, looking in at two sons that are now captains, and we're pretty much a flying family. Thanks.
Keith Dockery, I was with the Air Force in World War II, shot down all the Japanese, kept them from our New Zealand women, which I regularly reminded my wife about, and she just do. Oh, it's lovely to be here, and congratulations on the organisers put together. Thank you.
John Clark, member of the Aero Club in the early 50s, and didn't get past finals.
Ron Steele, ex-Air Force. I'm the fellow they stopped the war for. It's true when they learned that I'd joined up, they stopped all the flying programs, so I didn't finish. Oh, my wife Mavis. Very nice about Fox Pass.
Saul Whittaker. I don't know which start and which stop, so I'll sit down. But, my first flight in an aeroplane was with George Bolt in 1929. I sat on my father's knee. However, since then I've been involved with aviation right through. I'm currently a director of the Bay. This is my wife Fiona, who brought up all the kids single-handedly.
Captain Rock, formerly navigator, Mountain Command, Trenton.
Keith Swales. I served in World War II in the Fleet Air Arm as a pilot. Don't know how they ever accepted me, but they did. And I had the unique experience of actually being transferred and served in the United States Navy for over a year. That was quite an experience. So my greatest feat during the war was I was attached to a carrier in the Atlantic, and I helped sink a German submarine, the U-boat they called it in those days. And how it came about was the fact that we were attached to this carrier, so I was about 400 miles up the coast of Ireland in the Atlantic, and right in the middle of it all, the war started to be ended in Europe. And of course the Atlantic had a large number of German U-boats in it. And they all came up and surrendered, and the Navy took the crews off, and then we were told to fly up and sink them. So I helped sink a German U-boat.
Private father for many years.
Name?
John Travis. And it was very interesting. We were able to fly around to different places. It was very, very good indeed. And so we carried on for many years. And it was very, very interesting. Meeting all the different planes that we found. Also, we visited many aero clubs.
Thanks, John.
Dick Mayhead and my wife Rosalind learned to fly at Wairau, Jim Tate, Bill Cookson and those people. Just a club pilot.
Norm Litchfield, ex-ADC, Air Training Corps, Upper Hutt, Lower Hutt, 1940, when was it now? 41? 40, yeah. To 46 when we disbanded, and I've had an interest in aviation ever since I've been. Thank you.
So I'll stand up, left round with the knee, and just to point out that I've never had the exalted name of manager before. I was only chief controller. They probably paid twice as much as they paid. but that doesn't matter. I was in the air training corps, ran into Norm here of recent time, 50 or 60 years later, a bit of a surprise. But we're still both going.
Yeah.
So, I passed the pre-entry to get into the Air Force, and somebody said earlier, some rotten sod stopped with it. So, we had to put up with that. But I managed to get 40 hours of flying out of the government at that stage, and the cadets, and I was very happy about that. And went on, and the only century I ever scored, even though I played cricket for 50 years, was 100 hours I got flying. So that's the best of mine. Air traffic control after that.
Roger Crowe, who too young for World War II, but took up top dressing in the 50s.
That's more dangerous still.
I was the cause of giving chief controllers headaches quite a few times. Yeah, I'm glad he survived.
Oh,
Austin Clark, without any.
oh, sorry.
My wife June,
Oh.
just a
You better
Making
stand
Air
up.
Club
Agenda.
member, and I used to do a bit of flying, but get in the way and just sit on sidelines and
John Mason, started off Aero Club flying, Air Force trained after that, joined Air Traffic Control, took over Matt's job. Well, there's a couple in between, but yes, I'm still a Chief Controller, Matt.
Oh, that's all right, I feel better.
Involved with vintage aviation, but what pleases me most, I took up flying again this year and gone solo again. So.
Oh, dangerous. Oh, well done.
Tony Hawthorne with my wife Raylene. I'm not a pilot. I've kept my feet firm on the ground. I'm very interested in preserving and keeping aviation history in Hawke's Bay. My only service experience has been with the British Army and the Royal Green Jackets.
There you go.
What do you expect?
Well, we've had a Navy man and
Dick Brunton, pilot 2261, second Tactical Air Force RAF. And they told me I was going home, and I traded in my flying gear straight away and got to work. Too bloody dangerous.
John Lorenz. I'm very fortunate. I'm a member of the Royal New Zealand Air Force Association Executive. How I got there, I don't know. This is my wife Denise. She looks after me. I served in the Royal New Zealand Air Force in 41. Learned to fly at Tyree, Wigram. Went to England after I learned to fly Hudson. Between Bell Block and looking for subs, keep you both safe. And got to England and thought I was going to have a nice cushy job. I was going to be a coastal command pilot, like Jim here, see? But nobody wanted me. So I became a flying instructor. See how I came down? And I spent a year at Marshall's Field at Cambridge, which was the university flying school. Been there, have you? Ah, used to have all those lovely ferry pilots. Anyway, I spent a year, a bit around after that, but I was very lucky. Some poor pilot got killed, and I shifted into the 135 Squadron and did a tour of ops in Bomber Command. It's all right, don't worry. I'm still there. And I went back after that to Marshall's Field, teaching blokes from the Canadian Artillery and that to fly spotters, Osters, Pipers, even Lysander. And that was and I'm still here, that's one of the reasons, because they were all good pilots. I forgot to tell you, one guy became an air marshal I talked to.
Well, there you go.
Only redeeming picture.
Educated.
Well on time.
Oh, well, I learned World War II. I did my initial training in Tyree and then went on to Canada and got my wings. And then I did an extra course trained as a navigator, which qualified me for Coastal Command. I went on to England and I was posted onto a Sunderland Flying Boat Squadron. RAF Squadron, I was the only Kiwi on the crew, but had a great time. Oh, this is my wife too.
We're all going to
Quiet, everybody.
We're flying around Hawke's Bay and a little bit in other parts of Canada and England and Africa, Malta, Sicily, Italy, and 14 months in Burma. And all the rest is in New Zealand. That's about all I got from this is my wife. You looked up at me while I was top dressing.
Oh.
Very good. I thought you'd have got more applause than that, but... my name is Vic Vickers. If it's not, I've been having a hell of a good time with his wife.
Oh, I see.
For the last 63 years. Flew in World War II. As a Common Garden Variety of Wireless Operator air gunner. Scared as hell all the time. Before that, I was conscripted. I struck the first ballot for conscription into the army by a Prime Minister who, at that time, I think he was a conscientious objector in World War I. However, and I am standing up.
My name's Neil Titter. I was conscripted in the Army of Wairua at 18. 10 in a bell tent. If you squeal about that, they said the First World War was one never seen, which was 22 to a bell tent. So after a year, they come along and said anybody with 2 years secondary education. Now there was only about 10 of us went up, and I transferred from a tent to a room in my own in the Air Force. Went to Ashburton, Tiger Moss, got my wings at Wigram, and then, sorry my wife's not here, but she's getting her hair done and everything, but she wasn't well, and she couldn't come. And Interact got married, I was 20, got married on final leave, and went to England. That's my story.
Gordon Hip, born in Leipzig, went into the Air Force, trained in Plymouth, went to Canada, got my wings in Canada, then went to England and did the OTU on Blenheim. Because there wasn't any use for Blenheim pilots, then I went out to Burma to transport flying DC-3s. And it was quite an old man's job. I enjoyed it.
I'm Charles Bowley, and I was in the RAAF, served in New Guinea, on Kitty Hawks. When I came back, they gave me a job as an instructor on Wirraways, which was quite a test. Anyway, they called me up later on to serve in the Fleet Air Arm. So I spent a year with the British Fleet Air Arm flying Seafires off carriers. Distinguished myself by going over the side on the first landing. Otherwise, except for the dunking, I got away with it. So I had a good time.
David Fail, currently presently carried on with Districts Air Force Association. Joined 41. Went to Tyree, got my wings in Canada, went over to England, volunteered for the Middle East and finished up in the Air Force Lost Legion for 7 months until I got back to England again, continuing training.
This is my wife, Wynne. Put it on Tagmead. 1st of June, 43. And
Let's try it too.
when Jackie comes in, how can I be out? We're married at 44, and there we are.
My name's John Colton. I trained in New Zealand in 41 and went to England and trained on flew Spitfires and Tempest. Ended up at PRW, came back to England and then returned to New Zealand and made most of the locals happy with ice cream.
John's coming tonight. My wife Barbara, I'll get that in before.
Before you get shown around.
Joined the Napier a couple of years ago when we were operating Tramship. Then fly, went solo at Hastings, then Common Sense up the Vale, got married, and still been interested in aeroplanes and still run out when I hear Australian got flying over. And also very wrapped in the fact that we've got this thing going. Thank you.
Thank you very much, people. I've committed an incredible gaffe. I forgot to introduce my darling wife, Tina. And I hope my marriage survives that. Just to thank you very much for that. I thought a couple of times we were getting close to getting a biography, but I think we snuck through. Just a few words on the format and arrangement for the evening. The meal is a buffet meal. It's served at the servery at the end of the main restaurant down there, and shortly we'll work out some arrangement of doing it table by table. The meal is essentially it's a dinner and sweets. If there's anybody not paid for their meal, I'd ask them to do that at the bar at some stage. I'll say there's a couple of toilets I understand just around the corner here, but there's also a lot more off the main restaurant. Following our meal, we'll be hearing from our patron and speaker, John Patterson, and perhaps at the end of that you might take a few questions, John, if somebody's got some. I'd then like to say, having said there's no business tonight, I'll just say a couple of words about that's about all about our AGM, and then the scholarship will resume for those who wish to continue after the meal, etc. So that's basically the outline for the evening, and I think from what we've heard already and seeing the way people are getting on with one another, I look forward to a very enjoyable evening. I think being the head table, perhaps we'll go first.
Certainly is.
We'll now move on with the evening program. Recently, our association made a request for a funding trust for some money and purchased some equipment, and we wrote a letter of support, and I just thought I'd read a couple of things out of that letter. Hawke's Bay Province has a rich aviation history going right back to the efforts of Bertram Ogilvie in 1909 to fly a powered aircraft of his own design and construction from his property in Riverbend Road, Napier. The Hawke's Bay Aviation Heritage Association, from informal beginnings, has recently become registered as a not-for-profit incorporated society. Our general aim is, for the benefit of present and future Hawke's Bay generations, to research, collect, preserve and publish photographs, stories, oral histories and other related material associated with the aviation history of the province. In the process, we discovered many ex-World War II Air Force personnel who, on their return from hostilities, said little of the war. Typically they settled down, married, had families, built homes, and generally got on with their interrupted lives. It now seems in their later years they would like to tell their stories of the time when, hardly out of secondary school, they ended up in a war. And we ended up by saying Hawke's Bay has some amazing aviation history. The work done by members of the association is ultimately of benefit to the community both now and the future. It compiles and preserves as an accessible record a piece of the province's history that may otherwise remain scattered, untold, and eventually forgotten. Tonight we are going to be privileged to hear a piece of that aviation history from our patron, John Patterson. A little bit about John, and I hope you'll forgive me. Max Collett has been very kind in supplying me with a few details. I understand John's flying career commenced in 1938 at the Bridgepower, Hawke's Bay and East Coast Aero Club at Bridgepower, where he learned to fly as part of the Civil Reserve. On the outbreak of the war, he joined the RNZAF, and I understand was trained on lots of sort of venerable biplanes like wildebeests and things of that nature. And after gaining his wings, he sailed to England in the Rangitata in early 1940. As I think was common in those days, he got a very brief introduction to the aeroplane he was going to fly, a Spitfire, and then was sort of thrown in the deep end and posted to a squadron just before the Battle of Britain started. Later he went to 92 Squadron at Biggin Hill, where the commanding officer was, I think, the famous Sailor Milan. He had a couple of, I think he had an unfortunate argument there with the Messerschmitt 109, which resulted in him being in hospital for a while. And after that, John was posted to the New Zealand Spitfire Squadron, number 485. I think he had also had the unfortunate experience of having to dump into the Silk again, and ended up in the English Channel, and became a member of both the Caterpillar Club and the Goldfish Club for the experience. In the middle of 1943, he was awarded the DFC. In part, the citation stated, "A fine flight commander, his determination, zeal and courage have been an inspiration to all." He was then, I think, later a flight commander with another squadron during the time of D-Day, and about 2 months after that, he became the commanding officer of 485, the New Zealand Spitfire Squadron, and he led them on their trek across continental Europe. For his, those services, I think he was then awarded the DSO. After the war, he returned to farming near Waipawa, and as with many of his contemporaries, and that's a lot of you guys here, set about building things up rather than knocking them down. On the 6th of June this year was the 60th anniversary of the D-Day landings. John was honoured by being invited to join the Prime Minister as part of the New Zealand delegation at the commemoration ceremonies held in Normandy in France. While there, he was awarded the French Legion of Honour in person by President Chirac. As an association, we're honoured to have John as our patron, and I ask you all to join me in extending a hearty welcome to John. Over to you, John.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me in the far corner?
Very well, sir.
I don't like microphones. First of all, I want to thank the